Since the invention of gunpowder, propellant-projected weapons have always been on the battlefield since the very beginning of that first invention of gunpowder. And for the longest time, when it came to specifically laying siege on big walled cities, the bigger, the better. So what we're going to take a look at today is we're going to take a look at the top 5 biggest cannons or mortars. Number 1, the Tsar cannon. It's a bronze casted cannon that was built in 1586 in Russia. Fires an 890 millimeter cannonball. It's designed and built by Andrei Chekhov. This 890 millimeter diameter cannonball gets fired out of a barrel that weighs 39 tons and is 17.5 feet long. This cannon is mostly symbolic and traditionally sat on a wooden carriage. Firing the weapon would often destroy the wooden carriage because of the recoil of this cannon, so over time it was eventually placed on a bronze carriage. Putting it on a bronze carriage essentially meant you couldn't fire it anymore. Number 2, the Karl Gerät. German built during World War II, firing a 600 millimeter siege mortar. There were 7 of these built between 1937 and 1940. Has a 13.9 foot barrel. There were 7 of these built between 1937 and 1940, and each one of these giant guns has a 21-man crew, mostly loading it on cranes that are converted from Panzer tanks. First ones made had a 600 millimeter barrel, but later models had a 540 millimeter barrel. They make heavy concrete piercing shells and light concrete piercing shells. This photo here is a building in Warsaw that was fired upon by the Karl Gerät, and this gun has a range between 5,000 and 7,000 yards. Number 3, the Mallets mortar. This again was originally designed as a siege mortar by Robert Mallet in 1857. It's a 914 millimeter mortar cannon that fires that giant mortar 2,759 yards. Test firing this weapon ultimately led to the destruction of it. Only 19 shots were fired out of only 2 that were ever built. Number 4, the Schwerer Gustav. It's an 800 millimeter rifled siege artillery, making it the largest rifled weapon ever made. Made by the Germans during World War II, it was designed in 1937 and produced in 1941. It was originally designed for the war in France. Although construction took too long, they didn't use it, and it was eventually sent to the Soviet Union lines. There were 2 of these built. The second one was named the Dora. This is a railway gun and limited to railway tracks. And finally, number 5, the Little David. It's a U.S. built during World War II. This 173,000 pound mortar has a 22 foot barrel that weighs 80,000 pounds. Fires a 914 millimeter mortar. It's the largest caliber gun ever built. It was originally designed to be a siege cannon for the expected invasion of Japan, but it was never used. This massive gun can fire a 3,650 foot-pound shell up to 6 miles. So there you go. There's our top 5 list of the biggest guns. There's a lot of big guns that have made over the years. I know there's several we missed. Put them in the comments below. Thank you for watching this episode of The History of Weapons.